So I've been using Neo, not this Neo, he can't fly, but the Neo drone made by DJI, one of the smallest and cheapest drone ever made by the drone company. And I actually realized that there's a lot of things that DJI didn't tell us, and in this video I'm going to be letting you know of those things. Unlike the Hover AX1 that has the power button that also doubles down as the takeoff button, on the DJI Neo, once you power it on, the power button actually doesn't double down as anything. It only is there to show you the percentage of the drone right there. But on the Hover AX1, you can change the mode that you are in. So for example, if we go to orbit and then press and hold orbit,
4 meters, orbit,
4 meters orbit, and then if you press again,
6 meters, orbit,
6 meters orbit, and then once you are ready to take off, you just press
6
this.
meters, orbit.
Okay, but you get the gist of it. So the power button is only there to turn on the drone or turn it off, or you press it and it shows you how much charge you have. And since this can't basically do other functions, this means that these 6 custom set modes that we have on Neo, you can't really change each mode individually from just this button, because for example, if I go here, follow mode, and then press and hold,
Close, follow, 3, 2,
you notice it begins close follow. What DJI didn't tell you with this little drone is that when you use the DJI Fly application, this is the Fly app that I'm using, and you go into the setting of any mode right here, so you can see the 6 different modes that we have. When you go to like follow, for example, you notice how it says close follow. If I was to select far follow and then go to where it says height and say high right there, so the altitude will be high, and I can even close this application like this. And now if I press the start button in follow, here how it will say. Before it said close follow.
Droney.
Sorry, let me go back again.
Follow,
Now if I press and hold,
far, follow, 3,
far follow.
2,
So you can see it saved the presets even though I closed the DJI Fly application, and at the same time this is the case and I was able to test it. So if you are to take the battery and just remove it out, I should have probably switched it off, but yeah, if you remove the battery, it seems to maintain whatever preset the DJI Fly application you would have set on the mobile app on these 6 modes here. So if you can do orbit or whatever other mode you do, it's saving the presets, which is something that's good. So let's turn it on and then see what it says when it comes to follow, because we've removed the battery. So I'll go to follow
spot boomerang, follow,
and then press and hold.
far, follow,
You can
3,
see far follow.
1.
So yes, even after removing the battery, this saves the preset mode that you would have set on the DJI Fly app, which is something that's good. And once you've set it up, you can forget it because it retains the presets. Compared to the competition out there like the Hover AX1 that's here to challenge the DJI Neo, there's actually something that DJI didn't tell us, and it's the fact that price is different depending on country and region. On the DJI store right here, if I open it, I'm in Canada by the way, and then I'll continue as a guest. You can see for the DJI Neo, when I go to buy the Neo, in my province, the price is showing up as $179 before tax, and this is in British Columbia where I'm at. And this isn't only restricted on the DJI mobile application, because if I visit the DJI store official website right here, you can see it knows where I'm at, my province, of course, British Columbia, Canada, and at the same time you can see the DJI Neo with no RC is going for $179. From what I've been seeing online and hearing from different users that have given me feedback, this is not definitive for all countries and region. It just depends, I guess, on the region where you are at, and most users are seeing the price to be $199 for the DJI Neo, and that's one of the major things that's causing people to go for the Neo over the Hover AX1. Another thing that DJI didn't tell us is the fact that the DJI Neo is actually just a flying USB. When you turn off the drone and plug it into a USB source that's coming from your Mac or computer, it doubles down as a USB. Right here you can see the internal storage of the Neo right there. If I open it, I can be able to see my different recordings while it's off, and at the same time it doesn't end there. If I take the battery out of this drone, so press and then remove the battery just like this, the USB drive disappears. But then if you remove the cable and reconnect it, there's a green light that blinks, and without the battery that I've removed, you can see the internal storage comes back, and now I can go into this and be able to see my recording without the battery on the DJI Neo. This is the battery and this is the drone. When I say that the Neo is just a flying USB, this is what I mean. Another thing you might want to know when it comes to the DJI Neo compared to some other DJI drones is the fact that if you look at the price, for example, of this popular DJI Mini 4 Pro, you can see it's going for about $759 US. And if you take that price and look how much the DJI Care Refresh, the 1-year plan is going for, it's going for $79. But if you compare the ratio of the DJI Neo, which is going for, at least in my country or region, $179, and under this section you can see the 1-year Care Refresh is going for $22. The price of the DJI Care Refresh is about 12.3% of the total value of the DJI Neo, while on other DJI drones the price of the DJI Care Refresh is averaging about 10.4%. So the plan for the DJI Care Refresh is about 2% higher than what I'm showing here on the Mini 4 Pro. And if I was just myself buying this drone, I wouldn't really care, but considering how popular this drone is and how many users are probably going to buy this one, probably gonna be thousands or hundreds of thousands, so that would really add up in terms of margin profit for DJI. And at the same time, I can see why this is so, because this is aimed for users who have 0 to very limited flying experience with drone, where you just press a button and your drone takes quick shots. So I can see also why that is the case. Another thing that DJI is mentioning for this little drone is 18 minutes of flying time, but that's not actually the case, because the drone out of the box comes with these propeller guards that you see right here. And something that's good about these propeller guards, they are actually removable, and it's pretty easy to do that. And once you remove these propeller guards, you get the actual full 18 minutes of flying time. But because the drone comes with it, in actual sense you get 17 minutes, and these can be removed to be able to access areas hard to reach when they are on, to be able to clean those areas, and you get 1 extra minute of flying time from 17 to the actually advertised 18 minutes without these. Another quick pro tip I should give you when it comes to the DJI Neo is that when you unbox your drone, it's highly advisable not to throw away this camera lens cover, because when the drone is in your pocket, there might be other stuff like keys that might be able to damage the gimbal. So in order to protect the camera from scratches and from damage from other moving objects, it's highly advisable that you keep this lens cover, and it goes on pretty simple, and it doesn't actually make it inconvenient to carry since it doesn't take much space. So do not throw away this part. Something also that you need to know is that with or without these propeller guards that I demonstrated how you can remove, the DJI Neo still has the actual propellers protected by this outer frame of the body. And once you crash the drone, depending on impact, if it's, what I notice is that if it's going sideways like this and it crashes, then it tends to tip over. But if it's more of a front backwards motion, then it doesn't tip over. So whether it flips over or not depends on the impact, and also the direction I notice has effect on this as well. DJI probably won't tell you this, but the footage that you get with the DJI Neo, it's 4K 30 FPS, and at the same time, if you are going to be playing it like on Instagram or on YouTube Reels or on TikTok, just using social media and the small screen like the phone, it's going to look pretty good. But at the same time, if you're going to be playing it like on a big screen while watching like YouTube, or if you're watching YouTube videos recorded on the Neo on a bigger screen TV like my 65-inch, you are definitely going to see the imperfections in the quality. Just in comparison, this is footage recorded on the DJI Neo, and you can see how it looks. Let's compare this to footage that's recorded to another micro drone. This is the DJI Mini 3 Pro, and you see the difference. Another thing that you probably need to know when it comes to the DJI Neo is the fact that when you are flying the drone, you can actually connect to audio and the microphone, but from when I got the drone itself, there's an imperfection with the software or the firmware that it ships with, because once the drone is connected to the DJI Fly app or the smartphone that it's connected to, you can see in order for you to access mic features and more advanced features, you can see firmware update is required. So this is also something that DJI didn't disclose, and it's very easy to do. Another thing DJI didn't tell you, if you have this RC controller, this is the RC controller 1. It's the one that comes with the DJI Mini 3 Pro if you get it brand new with this controller. This is one that was really good, and unfortunately when it comes to the DJI Neo, this RC controller is not supported, and I actually reached out to DJI support to see if they had it in the plans at least to bring support for this controller through a software update or firmware update in the future, and at the time of this recording they do not have those plans. And it's feedback that I just gave that, hey, as a recommendation, it would be great to have this, and a lot of users have this RC1 controller, and it would be great to have it support the DJI Neo. At the time I'm recording this video, the DJI Neo only is supported with these RC controllers, so RCN3, RCN2, RC2, which was later added after some users discovered it, and there is a firmware update for, I believe, the RC2 and the Neo to add support for the RC2, and also it will enable, when you use these RC controllers, abilities to be able to communicate with the drone for a longer distance range. The DJI Neo is rated for level 4 wind resistant, meaning that if you get strong winds, it has high probability of tipping over, and at the same time the wingspan is not the greatest compared to, for example, like a drone like the Mini 3 Pro that has a longer wingspan. So be careful when you are trying to fly out and it's very strong winds, and at the same time the stronger the winds, the more the resistance that the drone is going to overcome, meaning that your flying time, if it's 17 minutes with the propeller guards, it's slightly going to come down as well. Another thing that DJI didn't tell us with the DJI Neo is the fact that if you go into the settings with the way I got my Neo and then go to the camera settings, it can do 4K 30 FPS, but when I go to 1080p, it's only able to do 1080p at 30 FPS. In the specs, it's actually highlighted that it can do 1080p at 60 Hz, and this is disabled until a firmware update. I've had the DJI Neo on for the duration of this recording, and just feeling it, it's actually not hot to the touch. It's relatively cool, and if you have used any other DJI product like the DJI Mini 3 Pro right here, if you leave it on for a few minutes, like 10 minutes without flying, the temperature of the Mini 3 Pro rises crazy, and then it does like a forced shut down because there's no propellers moving air to cool it down. But with the DJI Neo, since this is like a flying USB, it actually doesn't heat up as much, and at the same time it has a higher heat tolerance degree. In the DJI Fly application, when I was going through the settings, I actually realized that this doesn't record true vertical video, because if you look at the aspect ratio setting that you have when you go to 4K 30 or even 1080p 30 that I'm limited to right now, the aspect ratios that we have are 16:9 and 4:3, and there's no 9:16 at this point in time, but it's something that they can easily add with a software update. Another disadvantage that I saw with the DJI Neo, it's more of a bug, and hopefully software can fix this. When I tried to do like a takeoff mode with the Neo, it had an issue where this gimbal was recentering, looking down like 90 degrees, and it would say hold the drone facing a face, and that happened multiple times, and I had to restart it, and I had to go into the DJI drone and recenter it. So if that issue does happen, then you can always do that in the DJI Fly application. Most of the things that I've covered in this video are inspired by some of the questions and comments that other people and subscribers gave on some of my videos. So if you have something interesting you want to share, definitely do comment it below. And if you want me to cover something specific for you, or you have a question about the DJI Neo, then let me know. I just bought the DJI Neo without the RC controller, because this is how most people are going to use it, and they're simply just going to put it in their pocket and then fly off.